In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. It's easy to speak, it's easy to react. But to be silent, deliberately, calmly, intentionally, that takes strength. The Stoics understood this long before the age of constant notifications and endless opinions. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Not to be passive, but to be wise. Because silence isn't weakness. Silence is power under control. Think of Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, surrounded by advisors, generals, critics. He could have commanded attention with every breath. Yet his private writings are filled with reminders to remain quiet, to think before speaking, to rule first over himself. He knew what most people forget. Noise doesn't equal influence. Volume doesn't equal value. And silence isn't the absence of action. It's the presence of discipline. That's the first Stoic truth of silence. It's not what you say, it's what you don't waste energy on. When someone insults you, you don't need to respond. When the world provokes you, you don't need to react. The strongest voice in the room is often the one that doesn't speak. The second truth is restraint. Seneca warned against emotional reactivity. He believed that anger, gossip, complaint, these are signs of an undisciplined mind. When you train yourself to pause, to wait, to hold your tongue, you're not holding back weakness. You're releasing wisdom. And that wisdom is rare. Most people speak to fill space, to feel seen, to gain approval. But the Stoic speaks only when their words are better than silence. That is the standard. That is the test. When you wake up and scroll through drama, arguments, noise, you begin your day on someone else's terms. But silence brings you back to yourself. It allows you to hear your own thoughts, to sharpen your values, to prepare your spirit. The third Stoic truth of silence is stillness. The ability to be with yourself without distraction is a superpower in this age. Most can't do it. They run from silence because it reveals too much. It shows them what they haven't healed, what they haven't faced. But the Stoic leans into it, because silence reveals what noise hides. And in that stillness, strength is forged. The fourth truth is timing. The disciplined person doesn't just know what to say, they know when to say it. Silence creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space is your greatest power, the power to choose. You don't always have to correct. You don't always have to explain. You don't always have to prove. Sometimes silence is the loudest statement you can make. And yet, the modern world tries to convince you otherwise. That silence is awkward. That silence is ignorance. That silence is submission. But to the Stoic, silence is strategy. It is preparation. It is wisdom choosing its moment. And now, before we continue, if this message is resonating with you, if you found strength in these reminders, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps this philosophy alive and helps you reconnect daily with your own inner power. Let's continue. The fifth Stoic truth is humility. When you're silent, you're not performing. You're listening. You're learning. You're observing. Most people interrupt because they believe what they have to say is more important. The Stoic waits, not to dominate, but to understand, because when you listen long enough, people reveal everything. Their fears, their desires, their beliefs. And in that silence, you become a student of life, a strategist of wisdom. The sixth truth is energy conservation. Every word you don't say is energy you can redirect toward action, toward presence, toward purpose. You don't need to engage every conflict. You don't need to weigh in on every debate. You don't need to defend your every choice. You just need to stay rooted. And the seventh truth is clarity. When you practice silence, you begin to notice, not just what others say, but how you think. You catch the unhelpful thoughts, the stories you repeat, the lies you tell yourself. And then you choose differently. You replace reaction with reflection. You replace chatter with command. You replace noise with focus. This is the discipline of the Stoic, Not cold, not detached, but clear, precise, and powerful. The world will tempt you to speak too soon, to argue, to rush, to prove. But the Stoic resists the pull. They know that the moment you speak, you begin to lose energy. And unless your words are intentional, that energy is wasted. So they wait, they listen, they watch. And when they do speak, their words carry weight, because they've been earned in silence. This is not about never speaking. It's about mastering your words through discipline. You speak less, but you say more. You speak later, but you speak wiser. And when you do speak, you are not guessing, you are guiding. Because you've thought it through. You've let emotion pass. You've let ego dissolve. And what remains is truth. The kind of truth that doesn't need to yell. It just stands, solid, quiet, certain. This is the power of silence. It keeps you from foolish reactions. It protects you from regret. It trains you to rise above, not sink down. And it builds a mind that cannot be shaken. Because you don't need noise to feel powerful. You don't need attention to feel seen. You don't need approval to stay centered. You just need to remember who you are when everything else is quiet. That is the final truth of silence. It's not an escape. It's a return to your principles, to your clarity, to your strength. And in that space, everything aligns. You don't chase the world. You carry your world within you, quietly, calmly, completely. That is Stoic silence, and that is unbreakable power. So the next time someone challenges you, pause. The next time someone tries to drag you into drama, pause. The next time your ego rises to defend or explain or argue, pause. Silence isn't avoidance, it's command. You are in charge of your response. You are the master of your voice, and you get to decide when it's worth using. Not every battle is yours. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every provocation deserves your presence. Conserve your power, hold your fire, and let your silence speak. Because in the noise of the world, silence stands out. Not because it's empty, but because it's full of intention. Discipline is not just doing the right thing, it's also not doing the wrong thing when it would be easy. And silence is often that restraint. So build it like a muscle. Practice it like a ritual. Let others rush to speak. You learn to wait. Let others race to be heard. You learn to observe. Let others drown in noise. You move through the world with calm precision. That is not weakness. That is strength. And it is rare. Because strength is not measured by how loud you are. It's measured by how stable you remain. It's measured by your ability to stay centered while the world shakes. Silence helps you build that center. It teaches you to trust your judgment, to wait for the right moment, to listen deeply to others and to yourself. And that's when you realize silence isn't emptiness. It's alignment. It's all the scattered pieces of yourself coming together in one still point. So don't fear silence. Train in it. Use it. Live in it. Make it your ally. Because when the time comes to act, to speak, to lead, you'll do it not from impulse, but from intention. Not from reaction, but from resolve. And that difference between noise and clarity is the difference between drifting and leading. You don't need to explain your strength. You just need to live it. You don't need to announce your power. You just need to embody it. And the more silent strength you carry, the less external validation you seek. This is how you become untouchable. Not because you're perfect, but because you're composed, rooted, and unwavering. Let others react. You respond. Let others broadcast. You build. Let others chase. You stay focused. That's silence. And that's mastery. So take this with you. In the quiet hours of mourning, in the heated moments of conflict, in the long stretches of uncertainty, hold your silence. Not as a wall, but as a weapon. Not to isolate, but to anchor. Silence is your space to breathe, to remember, to sharpen, to choose. Because the Stoic path is not loud. It is steady. It is thoughtful. It is disciplined. And it is yours. Let silence become your strength. Let stillness become your strategy. Let restraint become your edge. And let the world keep talking. You have nothing to prove, only something to become. And that becoming starts in silence. Stay quiet. Stay grounded. Stay strong. That is a Stoic truth. And that is your path. You don't need to shout to make an impact. You don't need to explain to be understood. You don't need to fight every battle to prove your worth. The one who can stay silent under pressure wins without speaking. So walk calmly. Think deeply. Speak rarely. And when you do, let it come from stillness. That is the Stoic way. And that is enough. Your silence is not empty. It is full of choice, full of presence, full of strength. Let it lead you. Let it shape how you move. Let it shape how you lead. And let it remind you, real power is quiet, and it lives within you.